So before I mention some highlighted things that I took from the book, and I usually write them down in the front of the book, and I put what it is and I put the page. So I went through and I am going to show you what I have for these. This is the first one here on here. This is an exam tip that's on here. Now a lot of exam tips I mentioned I write in a book anyway, so a lot of this stuff, these are just highlighted things that really jump out at me. But these are some troubleshooting methodologies that kind of stand out, and they mention in the book that you need to know for CompTIA. So that's why I kind of have them highlighted there. And here's another one that I have, breaking it down, the process of what you need to do for when you're troubleshooting things and everything like that. Just simple stuff of what you should be doing anyway for that kind of thing. And as we continue to go through the book here, here's another one over here that's on this one, an exam tip here. And then you have the common operating system functions, and it breaks it down what all this is and what it goes through and stuff like that. And as we continue through the book, this one goes back pretty far. This one here is, this right here is something that's I didn't hear about until I started going through the book. There's something called Ready Boost, and it's supposed to speed up your CPU and supposed to speed up your RAM and stuff like that. But it's a sort of a external kind of thing you could plug in. It's just something that kind of jumped out at me, and it's just something that maybe if you want to look into, you could look into. But it's in the book. And then this one here is about the CMOS battery, installing the CMOS battery, some troubleshooting things on what you should look for if you have a bad CMOS battery and how to install it, and going through on that process there. Be careful if you mess with any of that kind of stuff. And right here we have up here my little index cards here. These are my business cards that I came up with here. Little business card here, connecting TechMe, TechU, do-it-yourself stuff. And then on the back I have more information for that. And this is right here. This is about the motherboard. And the reason I picked this out is because it says every technician should know this about replacing motherboards and knowing the motherboard differences and all that kind of thing. And then as we go through the process here, I have on here this exam tip about more motherboard stuff. And then on here it has about, if you want to know more about performance-based and stuff like that. This is a sim. Not too many of these in here, but labeling motherboards and stuff. It's going to be a challenge on the CompTIA test, so that's why I highlighted that and I picked that one out there. And as we go through here, this has more about the NTFS structure, and if you want to know what kind of, if you want to know what NTFS or what file format you have on here, this gives a, if you go to command prompt and you type that in there, that tells you how to do that there on that process. And let's go down to here, and we'll go back to up here on this. Spend time about the Mac operating system and Linux. Now this I've seen a lot. If you look at this is for Linux, but I've seen this a lot in comments on, especially on YouTube and stuff. It's a joke that people try to pass around. They try to get people to do it, and it's very dangerous to do this kind of thing. Even on Windows, if you mess with the command prompt and you do things wrong and stuff like that. But it's this little process right here. This RM-RF, RM-RF / is a command. Now what that does is that'll wipe out everything if you do that. You bypass the administrator thing on that, which the sudo, which gets you into Linux, and that's a very dangerous thing. But that's a big thing in there that I highlighted because I see that a lot on comments in YouTube and stuff, and they tell people, yeah, just go ahead and do that. Now, I don't know if they see the comments after that. Usually people jump in after that and say, don't tell people to do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. But you never know. Some people might try it. That's why you got to really pay attention to what you're doing on that sort of thing. And on here, we have almost to the end. This right here is something that hasn't changed either. Knowing the protocols and ports for this. Here's the table over here for this, for knowing the protocols and the ports over on this side. And these are the ports, stuff like that. I mean, that's, you got to know that for Network Plus too, and Security Plus. That's just something that hasn't changed. That's a big one that you really need to know for that. And then the last one is there's a 4-step disassembly process that CompTIA uses that they want you to know for the exam and all this. These are just some of the things that I picked out that jumped out at me. And like I said, a lot of the exam tips, there's a lot of different ones that are just as important. There's a lot of notes that are in there just important that I highlighted in an earlier video and stuff. And all these are in this book right here, the Mike Myers book. This is the Mike Myers A+ certification book. So all this is in here. This is the book that I have. I also have his Security Plus book. So happy reading, and hopefully this kind of thing helps you. Let me know if there's anything that you don't have time to research. I can research things, or maybe it's something that I already know about, or maybe it's something that I already have pointed out in the book that you're just not getting, or maybe it's something that you can't find in a book, or maybe you can't find in your study guide, and maybe I can point it out to you, and maybe I've come across it that I know where it's at. So enjoy the rest of your night. It's almost 6:30 here, so Monday morning will be here before everybody wants it here.